Hi everyone, my name is Jessica and this is my channel Plant Hooker. Now today I'm going to be talking about specifically the Maranta Kerchoveana, mostly because I've had this one longer than the Leucanera. Now the reason why I have the Leucanera here is to show an example of a healthy Maranta and an example of a not so healthy Maranta. Now, Marantas are a flowering species and they're native to the Brazilian rainforest. There are other variegations of them, like these are two here, but you have the variegated Kerchoveana, the variegated Leucanera, you also have the lemon lime. There's a few species out there. I only have two in my collection and I'm working on getting more. But it is slow going with the Marantas, mostly because here in Canada, a lot of us have wood stoves, and I have a wood stove. And Marantas don't like dry air. They like really high humidity. Now, the reason why mine isn't as healthy as this one is because this one, even though I've had it for 1.5 years now, I purchased this from the plant, again, the Plant Collective, the company that I tell people don't buy from, because even though their website is still operational, the company doesn't exist anymore. They went out of business and they were not kind enough to shut down their site. While this one, I've only had this one since October, and I got this as trick-or-treating. So yeah, only a crazy plant person would go trick-or-treating and come home with a wish list plant. A clipping, actually. I put it in water, I rooted it, and then I put it in dirt. Now, this one I got from my cousin, and I'm not sure how long she had the mother plant, but the mother plant was huge. It was like this. And they have a wood stove too. And the fact that hers is closer to their wood stove than mine are, because mine are on the second story and are very far away, that like hers is so perfect, and even the mother plant was so perfect. The only thing I can think of is she bought hers possibly at a big box store like Sobeys or something, or she adapted it far easier than I've been able to adapt mine. And that's why this one here has been doing absolutely fantastic. Also, another thing that I didn't know too when I first got the Kerchoveana is they are sensitive to lime and water. So if you have hard water or you have a water softener system on your water line, you're better off to use rainwater or bottled water. I'm not 100% sure on filter water, because I never really tested the filter water because I didn't want to take any chances. And because I have bottled water in my house because of my cats, unfortunately, one of my male cats has bladder issues and has to be on bottled water, I just use that for these guys. But unfortunately, I didn't find out about it until we got to this point. So, they're also known as prayer plants, because during the day, they actually fold down, and then at night, they fold back up. Calatheas and Stramantes do it as well. But Marantas, it seems like they move way more than the Calatheas and Stramantes do. Like there's video of them out there just where you can watch them up and then coming down and then going back up again. And they do that because in the wild, when their leaves are down, they'll collect water and dew and whatnot, and then when they put their leaves back up at night, they water themselves. Because these are like an underbrush plant. Like they prefer bright indirect light because they're just covered by trees in the Brazilian rainforest. Something else about these guys is they do flower, again, as I had mentioned before, but it's only these teeny tiny little white flowers. And I've never been able to get mine to flower. I've only seen pictures of it, but they are cute little flowers. But the foliage is far more prettier than the flowers are. Now, they do have shallow roots. Like this guy, he came to me in a 4-inch pot, and I have moved him to a 5-inch. And then about 4 months ago, I noticed his roots were starting to come out of the bottom of the pot. So I put him in this is still a 5-inch pot, but it's a little bit deeper. So I just moved him to this one because I didn't want to put him in too big of a pot because of how shallow their roots are. These plants do produce an oil, or you can collect an oil from them called rosmarinic acid, and it's something that is they mostly extract it from like rosemary and oregano, but you can extract it apparently from these guys. And rosmarinic acid is used in food beverages and food and beverages as a flavoring. It's also used in cosmetics because it has some skin benefits, and it's also been known to aid in helping people lower their blood pressure as well. Do I suggest you start boiling down your plants? No, because again, I don't know the process or how much these guys produce compared to rosemary and oregano. I water him about once a week, once the level on the moisture meter reaches 7. If it's higher than 7, just leave it be, let it go, and just check it again the next day. Because you can overwater these. Like, for all they like to be moist, they don't like to be overwatered because they can suffer from root rot. Pest, I have had an uphill battle with pest with this guy. When I first got him, he had spider mites, and I did not have trouble getting rid of the spider mites. I just found they were super easy to get rid of. I only had to spray them down a couple of times, and the spider mites were gone. And that was because I got him in August, and then I discovered the spider mites in September. This was up 2020, I think, or 2021. And then a few months later, I think it was around March, I noticed then that, sorry, my 7-year-old is rolling around on the floor here and has decided to kick the table. And then a few months later, I noticed he had thrisp. Now, I will take spider mites, aphids, and fungus gnats any day over thrisp. Thrisp is the devil of all plant people. They ruin households and just destroy everything. Like I've lost so many plants because of thrisp. It's not fit, yeah. So I have been continuously having an uphill battle with thrisp with this guy. Mind you, I do believe, I think I may have finally won that battle because I haven't seen any thrisp on him since about 2 months now. So I think I have won. I think. I'm still fighting thirst down here though. But one way to tell when your plants are sensitive to like lime and stuff in water is the leaves will start to crisp. Now I know Marantas will crisp when there's not enough humidity and whatnot, but with him, because I missed him about 4 times a week just to increase his humidity. This guy only gets done maybe twice. But even though like there's times where I think it's doing fine, I'll still get these really bad edges and especially on new growth. And so but unfortunately I didn't realize the Lyme issue until last month because of this guy. And because he started crisping and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and then it's like, oh, and then you research it and then it's like, oh, it's Lyme. Yes, so it's my fault. Now, I'm told that they only get to be about 1.5 feet tall, which maybe for the Kerchoveana it applies to that, but I don't think the Leucanera, because the one my cousin has is definitely higher than 1.5 feet. Hers is almost 2 feet, and it's a beautiful plant. But they can get about 3.5 feet wide, and some of them are absolutely gorgeous. And I'm hoping to maybe someday get one that big. When it comes to soil, I have him currently in cococoir, and I have him in all-purpose potting soil. The reason why I have him in cococoir because that's the type of soilage I had at the time, and I had all-purpose for him because it was the kind that I had at the time. But I have heard that these guys do prefer to have tropical soil, and if you're going to use the all-purpose soil to add more perlite or pumice or other types of things, just so then you can get like extra drainage in them, because they, even though they like to be moist, they don't like to have their feet wet, so to speak. Part sun, part shade. These guys absolutely love my north-facing window. It would be, I guess, the boys' playroom. They're only a foot away from the window, and even though it's a north-facing window, it's still a bright north window. So they enjoy that. They're growing big. He's already producing new growth here, so far so good. And I also have another growth point coming out here on this guy. See if I can show you right here. There, I think you can kind of see it there on the camera. All-purpose plant fertilizer works great for these guys. It's what I'm currently using. You can also use the kind that's for flowering plants, and I think that's what you use if you want them to flower. For me, I love these guys more so for their foliage than the flowers. The leaves are just so pretty. Well, maybe not so much right now, but he's coming. As true trial and error and making mistakes, at least I can say I haven't had to use more than one of these guys. While, however, the Leucanera, this is actually my second Leucanera, because I lost my first one to spider mites, because I didn't realize it was spider mites. And I didn't realize that Marantas didn't like wood stoves, because I actually had him perhaps a little too close to the wood stove, because my wood stove is on the north side of the house. Temperature wise for these guys, they like to be between 18 and 25 degrees Celsius. You can't put them outside, but here in Canada, only between July and August. Because, again, we get very cold. And unless your growing zone isn't 10A or above, then you can have them outside year round. But if you're below that, then you have to take them in. I've never put mine outside. I haven't had them long enough to feel comfortable with putting them outside yet. I may try that next summer, depending on the weather and the wind, because we're kind of in, we have these huge swat winds that we get here, and sometimes I can't always put my plants outside. Yes. Sorry, that's my son again. Yeah. But they will get attacked by fungus mites too, or fungus gnats. Sorry, fungus gnats. Like spider mites and thrips for sure, because I've had them. But fungus gnats will because they'll like the moist soil, so they'll be able to lay their eggs in. And we all hate fungus gnats. And for me, the best way I find to get rid of them is you take a bowl with apple cider vinegar and wrap it with saran wrap, poke little holes in it, and just watch the flies drown themselves. It's quite satisfying considering the messes they've made. And I've actually lost a couple of plants because of spider mite, or because of fungus gnats, sorry. Well, I've lost plants with spider mites too. And so I guess that's it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you have any questions, I will just shoot me a message. I will try to answer them to the best of my knowledge. And subscribe, I guess. Thank you for watching.